when the season's over, I need to walk away with more than just the soap opera.
An impactful moment.
Exactly. Now, I don't expect you to do that every week, but at the end of the arc, if you're telling a continuing story, at the end of that fucking season, you need to, bam, drop the mic.
Yeah.
Tarantino's favorite TV shows are all over the place. A forgotten 60s biker show, a Western from your grandpa's time you've never watched, and somehow How I Met Your Mother. This is the kind of list only Tarantino could make. Michael Parks plays a disillusioned reporter who ditches his job after his friend Nick's untimely demise. Armed with Nick's motorcycle and a heavy dose of existential dread, Bronson hits the road like a modern-day cowboy, meeting all sorts of oddball characters along the way. It's basically a road movie on two wheels with 60s vibes and Parks' brilliant performance. In fact, Tarantino loved Parks' performance so much, he called it the most naturalistic acting I've ever seen on a TV show. Tarantino even built From Dusk Till Dawn's Texas Ranger role around Parks' signature drawl and went on to cast him in Kill Bill, Grindhouse, and Django Unchained. The longest-running Western series in U.S. history, Gunsmoke ruled the small screen for 20 years, following Marshal Matt Dillon as he wrangled Dodge City's favorite pastimes: drunken brawls, cattle rustling, and gunslinging. With James Arness as the stoic lawman and a supporting cast that included Amanda Blake and Burt Reynolds, it was basically the blueprint for all gritty frontier dramas. Even Tarantino couldn't resist tipping his hat to Gunsmoke. Samuel L. Jackson's Hateful Eight character, Marquis Warren, is a nod to the show's creator, Charles Marquis Warren. Tarantino even cast Burt Reynolds in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but sadly, Reynolds passed before filming began, leaving Kurt Russell to fill his boots. And the best part? Quentin Tarantino himself was named for Quint Asper, Burt Reynolds' character in Gunsmoke.
Any money here, Johnny?
Yeah? That's what I hear.
Well, what is your business here?
Dee, I'm just looking.
Where your best shot?
Something like that, yeah.
Where you found it? Now I can use you, Johnny.
You let me think about it. Hey, you ain't already tied up with somebody else, are you? No, and I said I'd think about it, and I will.
This Western series follows Murdoch Lancer and his two wildly different sons, educated Union Army vet Scott and gunslinger Johnny Madrid, as they fend off enemies threatening their ranch. Tarantino paid tribute to Lancer in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, recreating an episode with Rick Dalton's guest appearance. He and cinematographer Robert Richardson went to great lengths to capture the show's exact vibe. And it shows. There's another connection, too. Bruce Dern, who plays George Spahn in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, also appeared in Lancer. Billions is somewhat similar to Succession, but with fewer boardrooms and more shady hedge funds. This comedy drama dives into the cat-and-mouse feud between Paul Giamatti's district attorney and Damian Lewis's morally bankrupt hedge fund mogul. Tarantino is a huge fan, so much so that he handpicked Damian Lewis to play Steve McQueen in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, a role Lewis crushed. Tarantino even fanboyed hard enough to write to creators, which snowballed into him narrating their next show, Super Pumped.
I mean, I'm really proud of you. Ooh.
Dadgummit, little Joe!
Hiya, Fly. How are you?
Another classic Western show, Bonanza, centers on the wealthy Cartwright family in Nevada in the years before the Civil War. Tarantino previously styled his main character's look in Django Unchained after that of Michael Landon's Little Joe, but for the Hateful Eight, he wasn't looking at the heroes. He was looking instead at the characters played by guest stars like Charles Bronson or Vic Morrow, whose motivations wouldn't be known until midway through the episode. The show's episodes where villains trap the heroes in a single location became a blueprint for Minnie's haberdashery. This political drama provides a behind-the-scenes look at the staff of a fictional CNN-like news channel. Jeff Daniels leads the cast as news anchor Will McAvoy, alongside Emily Mortimer, Allison Pill, and Dev Patel. Tarantino named David Fincher's The Social Network as the best film of the 2010s, so it's no surprise that he enjoyed The Newsroom, another project penned by Aaron Sorkin. The show doesn't rise to the heights of Sorkin's earlier show The West Wing, but it still contains enough witty repartee to justify a viewing.
Good evening. Tonight, we're going to have a nice quick class on bridges. There are 6 types of bridges: beam, cantilever, arch, suspension, and 2 others. You got to land on both sides, water in the middle. See you all next week.
Hey, we'll get you for the whole hour.
Oh, come on, honey. Who really wants to sit here and listen to me yap about bridges for an hour?
Really?
How I Met Your Mother aired almost 200 episodes between 2005 and 2014, and was indisputably the dominant sitcom of that era. The show follows Ted Mosby's misadventures with his pals leading up to him meeting the mother of his kids. The show is essentially Friends for the mid-noughties, but remains fresh thanks to great performances from the leads and an abundance of quotable lines. Apparently, Tarantino was hooked from day one, telling MTV, "Hands down my favorite show is How I Met Your Mother. I always keep watching." Wonder how he felt about that ending. Kung Fu is a mashup of a Western and a martial arts story, revolving around David Carradine's character, a Shaolin monk who travels the American frontier in search of his half-brother. Its influence on Kill Bill is easy to see. In fact, Carradine, the star of Kung Fu, plays Bill. The film is also referenced in Pulp Fiction when Jules tells Vincent that he intends to walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu. The show holds up surprisingly well 50 years later and should appeal to Tarantino stans. Before anime was a household word, Speed Racer was revving up 40 million viewers in the US, turning the adventures of a teen race car driver battling villains like Car Hater into pop culture gold. Tarantino is a self-proclaimed fan. He nearly brought this cartoon to the big screen in the 90s. Richard Donner was pushing for a movie based on a script by J.J. Abrams. Tarantino thought it nailed the comic book vibes better than the Wachowskis' 2008 take. Too bad we never got his version. A 1960s chess prodigy battling addiction, trauma, and her own brilliance. Sounds like Oscar bait, but it's actually one of Tarantino's favorite Netflix shows. Anya Taylor-Joy owns the screen as Beth Harmon, navigating cutthroat competition and inner demons, while Stephen Meisler's cinematography makes chess look gorgeous. Tarantino called it a 7-hour film on The Ringer's Rewatchables, ranking it alongside The Haunting of Hill House as one of his 2 Netflix must-sees.